Joining us now to discuss is Pennsylvania Congressman Dan Meuser. He's also a member on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, welcome here. Every day we're trying to keep up with how many people might be retiring, what their future political careers are looking like, and we're now learning that 23 House Democrats are taking their name out of the race. Your thoughts on that decision?
Well, I think it's a strong signal that 2022 is going to be a very good year for Republicans. And sadly, it's going to be a good year because with this Democrat Party in charge, from the White House to the Congress and the Senate, we have seen terrible plans, and the American people are feeling terrible plans. Emma, right? I mean, from the big ones like the border, unbelievably frustrating for people and so wasteful and just so awful from a drug standpoint and cost and humanitarian crisis to Afghanistan to this administration and frankly the leadership in the House are awful managers of policy and their policy is detrimental on a large scale level as well as on a daily level in the form of inflation, supply shortages, and et cetera, gasoline prices through the roof. They're just doing a terrible job. People are going to vote them out, so they might as well leave before they get voted out.
Well, let's dive into a key issue that's on the minds of many at this point, inflation. We know voters are going to be paying close attention to it leading into the midterms. President Biden isn't delivering on it. This according to a new ABC News Ipsos poll showing 69% of respondents disapprove of the way the president is handling inflation here. What does that tell you about the current state of the cost of things in our country, especially at a time when people might want to be gifting some nice presents to those they love?
Of course. And the shame of it is that they are out of touch. They do not have any empathy or understanding of what the general public goes through. I mean, President Biden actually said 2 weeks ago or last week that people should pay their fair share for gasoline. What in the world does that mean when gasoline's up in some cases 80 to 90%? Food is way up, supply chain shortages. And you know what else? All this recklessness in our economy. Our farmers, for instance, exports are being hurt because of the bottlenecks at the ports. So there's a lot going wrong when their engagement, Emma, is to spend as much as they can with no management whatsoever along the way. I mean, Pete Buttigieg has never gone to the LA port or any port for that matter. There are solutions to these problems. People want to see it. People don't want to be scolded. They want solutions, engagement, and things to just improve on a daily basis.
You know, Congressman, I got to ask you about the news of the day. We're anticipating this press briefing from the president about the COVID surge that's going to be this afternoon. A lot of people highlighting these new cases. What could come next for the American public as they are trying to either live with this virus or get back to normal? Does the president and the White House need their own version of Operation Warp Speed to come up with some new solutions?
Absolutely. All we talk about is pitting one side against the other, and it's really terrible, right? Everything's to blame on those who haven't been vaccinated. There's zero empathy once again coming out of the White House. We never talk about therapeutics. We never talk about immunities from having the case. Like Israel, for instance, considers for 6 months if you have COVID, you're immune for 6 months. There's no engagement there. Now, on the same note, look, people should go to their doctor and say, am I eligible? Do you recommend I get the vaccine? Because there's no question, this Omicron and the level of increases is a real problem. It's a problem in my district. It's a problem throughout Pennsylvania and the country. It truly needs to be taken seriously. But, you know, the messaging from the White House and most of the Democrat leadership is making it worse. You know, I mean, everything they do, from the economy to this, they try to put out a fire with gasoline. That doesn't work.
Well, the pandemic has always impacted lives regardless of political affiliation here. So as you point out, it could be a time for unity, actual unity, bringing people together instead of using such divisive language as we've seen. This also comes at a time, too, when Democrats were anticipating some more spending to be pumped into the economy with the president's Build Back Better spending plan. That was shut down by Senator Joe Manchin. He essentially says he's not interested in spending quite that much. Talk to me about the priorities of the Biden administration, them wanting to get this passed. Could we see it passed, and should they?
Well, they say they're going to continue after it. But you know what was wonderful in this, Emma? The people of West Virginia, as represented by Joe Manchin, but the people of West Virginia and the people of Pennsylvania are the ones who killed this bill. As long as it prolonged, the more it was out there, the more people understood what was in it, and the phone calls were coming in to many of these so-called moderates. If there aren't so many in the Democrat Party, but there are some that exist, and the people killed this bill, and for good reason. It truly was just something, a part of the liberal agenda, regardless of the circumstances that we needed to address, right? I mean, this bill had amnesty in it. This bill had expansion of the IRS. This bill had 4-week leave, all the things that will make the situation worse. Again, trying to put out a fire with gasoline. We definitely appreciate Joe Manchin's holding up strongly. And once again, the White House started attacking him come Friday, come Saturday, which pushed him towards saying no on Sunday. That's a real Christmas present for America.
All right. It's not getting passed before Christmas. We know this. People have gone home already. Big question is whether we might see it in the new year and what it could look like. We'll have to have you back on the program for your analysis then. Congressman Dan Meuser joining us. Congressman, thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.